Hello and welcome to another edition of Talk Utah. I'm Trip Mitchell and I'll be joined by the lovely Holly Love.
Thank you, Trip.
You look extraordinary today.
I do. You know what? I got a haircut.
How much did you pay for said haircut,
Well,
by the way?
I'm not going to reveal how much I paid for the haircut, but I have to tell you, my cute girl who did my hair is expecting. She is the cutest little mommy to be I've ever seen. And have you ever had a pregnant woman cut your hair?
No.
Let me just tell you a little piece of advice. You don't want to argue. And I know this because my sister used to cut hair. And so I went into this knowing I just needed to mind my P's and Q's. But I kind of have a lot of hair. And so it was a little Edward Scissorhands moment. She just like, hair going everywhere. And I was a little nervous. But once we blew it out and did it, I'm happy. I'm a happy girl. I love my Melissa.
What I love every year on the Today Show is they sample 30 or 40 different shampoos. And invariably, the Suave, which costs 89 cents, comes out as the #1 quality shampoo. And every guy knows this with every fiber of our being, that 87-cent or 89-cent shampoo is just as good as the $100. And every woman thinks that's crazy.
It is crazy.
It is not. I mean, seriously, all you're trying to do is, you guys are nuts.
No.
The amount of money that you spend on your hair is just astounding.
Well, you got to do what you have to do, whether it works or not. It's all a head trip.
How long does it take you to get ready for the show?
I don't know. That depends because it's the whole blow drying the hair. It's dramatic. I don't know, hour and a half if it has to be blow dry.
Thank God I was born a man. It is so much easier for man. Well, today, irrespective of your hair, which does look lovely, we've got a great show. Talk to me a little bit about our guest. We're going to delve into the world of the paranormal. This will be interesting.
Yes, we have a paranormal investigator on the show. Carrie Pitlick is coming on, and she'll be talking to us about a few places in Utah and Wyoming and surrounding areas that she has investigated for ghosts.
How do you feel about that? Do you believe in ghosts? What, skeptical?
Oh, I totally believe in ghosts, but I haven't been on any kind of an investigation like that before. Have you?
No, typically they're not up during my hours. I like to get up early and go to bed early. So the ghost thing is at night, which is a little problematic.
It's true.
Have you ever noticed that a lot of people believe in reincarnation, speaking of kind of the paranormal and that stuff? No one ever was a janitor in a previous life. How come everyone was a king?
We were talking about that at the Ren Fair. When we went out there, we asked that question if they believed they were reincarnated. And a lot of them were much better at being real about it, but it is kind of funny. Everyone wants to believe they're like royalty of some kind.
What are the odds? I mean, the odds are statistically that there, maybe back when they were reincarnated, that there were maybe 100 kings, there were a lot more serfs out there.
I would imagine that are the odds. All I can say is if life is tough, so I've said this before, I have nothing against the idea of reincarnation except that if I get done and I am told I'm coming back, I'm joining the other team.
What team are you joining?
I don't know. Whatever team means I don't have to come back and do this again.
Okay.
It's like...
Well, I think you've got it pretty good. A little later on in the show, we're going to get a chance to talk about some free things you can do in Utah. And when I moved here in 1981, I remember driving up over Guardsman's Pass into Park City, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And it really is a great trip. And what's sad sometimes is those of us who live here don't take advantage of the outdoors. And I know
I told you, I've never done Guardsman's. I lived in Park City. I've lived in Salt Lake. I've never done that.
Just a beautiful trip. And you and I had a chance to go up with Aaliyah to Snowbird. Take advantage of the canyons, because more than likely we're going to have another hot summer. And you go up the canyons, it's 20 degrees different, and it's just wonderful.
It's really nice.
And free. Free is a good price.
Yeah. Trip, what did you do last night?
Let's see. Last night I watched basketball, and I knew the Pacers were going to lose. I knew it with every fiber of my being, and I was going to make a friendly wager with a friend, and I didn't do it. And invariably, when you know a team's going to win a game or lose, you don't bet on it. But this is, for a sports fan, I mean, everyone points out the Super Bowl, but right now is great. Every night, virtually every night, you've got an NBA playoff game or an NHL game on. And so I'm in seventh heaven.
Well, good. I'm glad.
And then Thursday night, we've got our first game of the regular season in ice hockey.
Ooh.
And I'm excited about that. We were playing the team that knocked us out of the playoffs last year.
Rivalry?
The Thunder Ducks.
Ooh, are the Thunder Ducks going down?
No, they'll probably beat us.
Oh, no. Oh, dear. Well, I have a product for you.
What is that?
Are you ready for this? Okay, so this changed my life. Last night I went to go see Team THF, my boys over there, Rick and Jason and all the fitness guys. And they're going to be on Improving You. And so we're doing some follow-up with that. And They have the greatest stuff, the greatest advice on how to eat and how to work out. And so I'm not endorsed by this product in any way, shape, or form. But if you're working out and you're starving and you want to find something that's like a sugar substitute, you have to try this.
I'm not going to try that.
No, you have to.
Oh, God.
Oh, you have to.
Oh, God.
Just give it a little break off. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, this is raspberry white chocolate. Trip?
It's not the most horrible thing I've had in the last 20 minutes.
It's good, right?
It is good.
Oh my gosh, it's like a candy bar. It's the best thing. It has like all these huge chunks of white chocolate. Anyway, for a girl who's dieting and dying for
By the way,
like
okay,
sugar,
let me just say this. Our
is
production
awesome.
office, which is basically
Oh no.
it's a little crowded. Aaliyah and Holly are on these diets, and these diets require them to graze all day. So it's like going to the Golden Corral when you go in their production office. They've got 43 things of food, and they're eating all day. Sparks are flying in there. Food's flying out the door. I just had to go fix the vacuum cleaners, and it cost me $80 because there's food in them. Do you guys ever hit your face with this stuff?
No, I can't wait for Rick to come on because the whole thing with Team THF is you have to eat like 6 small meals a day, and it takes
You
too
guys
much.
do not eat 6. You don't stop eating. This show is the only time you guys are not going to be eating all day.
really-
And Aaliyah has a hamburger over there.
There are no hamburgers. These are like lean meals, like, eggs and
Oh.
Cheerios and...
I thought my dog had had a bad day gastrointestinally the other day when I walked into the studio. My God, those eggs are horrible. What you guys, this diet is the worst thing for your
I
coworkers.
can't wait for Team THF to come in here. Rick is. I think you're going to get sucked in.
That
I think
ain't
they're going to
happening.
suck you in, and one day you're going to be having 6 meals, and you'll just like rue the day you were giving us a hard time.
I'll never rue the day that I give you a hard time.
Well, that's true.
Is there anything you're supposed to do now?
I don't think so. I think I'm good. Are you good?
Yeah, well, it's like close this segment.
Oh yeah, I'm supposed to close the show. Okay, well, we'll be right back with some news you can use. Welcome back, everybody. I'm opening the show now because closing the show, apparently, I'm not the best at that.
Well,
or at least the segment, not the show.
Let me let in a little secret. There's a floor director who basically tells you how long each segment is.
Oh dear.
And Holly gets on a roll, and she was talking about, her 7 to 14 meals a day and was completely ignoring the floor director. Now, the challenge, our floor director was eating also at the same time, so communication skills were a little rough. But
Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's get to news you can use. We
That
actually
sounds
have
like a
some
great
important
idea.
stuff to say, or at least some interesting things
Okay.
to talk about. I don't know how
I wish
important.
a candidate would say that. This stuff's kind of important, but it isn't.
At least it's interesting.
Let's talk a little politics. Let's talk a little
New York.
New York stuff.
New York's kind of crazy right now. I don't know what's going on. It's like women's rights, and I think we've taken a step back a little bit. And it's kind of the last few weeks combined. We had of course, the firing of Jill Abramson from the New York Times.
And all
which
she
was
did,
weird.
and here's the challenge that this situation brings up. If a woman is tough and
Pushy. You use the words they used.
pushy,
Tough.
qualities that would be admired
Aggressive. These
those-
were the words that were used after they let her go.
those words are buzz for the B word.
Oh, totally. And for being an editor of the New York Times, you would want pushy, aggressive, and tough.
And I think she only won 8, or the newspaper won 8 Pulitzers during her reign.
Oh my
So from an
gosh.
editorial content standpoint, she did a wonderful job.
And her pay, she found out that she was being paid far less than her previous, editor. And then people that were even below her were making more money.
How do
No
people
excuse.
defend women not making as much as men?
There is no defense. What do you say? Okay, so beyond that, even more fun is the New York Post. Now, they were going after the mayor,
Bill de Blasio.
Bill de Blasio, his wife. And she's this beautiful, educated, career lady who had her first child at 40. And she was being interviewed for a profile on the cover of New York Post. And she was just talking about how, it was a hard transition. She's 40 years old. She's had a life. She's had a career. And she struggled with the whole idea of, now I'm in mommy time. I'm taking care of little kids running around. It was a hard transition. She was just being honest. I don't know what woman out there, no matter what age, we were talking about that in the edit bay, everybody was there of different ages, and we're all like, what age would you not have it be a tough transition, especially the older you get? She was just being honest, and guess what the headlines were?
What?
I'm a bad mom.
The New York Post is owned by the same.
Silly.
It is a very, very right-wing publication.
Mm-hmm.
Bill de Blasio is a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And he came on.
They want to get him.
They really want
They
to get
don't
him.
like him.
And Bill de Blasio has had a rough first couple months in the job of being mayor of New York, which is one of the toughest jobs in the world. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
But that being said, everything that you look at in the Post has to be filtered through the perspective of a right-wing publication.
Mm-hmm.
And so, unfortunately, when we get into media these days, there are very few center of the road. New York Times, which we were just talking about, is truly the greatest newspaper in the world. I mean, it just phenomenal. The brain power just to read that paper is more than. I used to get the
It takes
Times
a
on
while.
Sunday, and you feel so guilty because there's so many
much
great
that
stories.
you just can't get to.
And I end up coloring in USA Today beforehand. But it's such a great newspaper. But the Times is perceived to be a little liberal,
Mm-hmm.
whereas the Post is definitely conceived way right. And in this town, I think the Deseret News is perceived to be a little bit conservative, and
Mm-hmm.
the Tribune is considered a little bit more to the left. So, unfortunately, in media, you don't have anyone in the center of the road anymore.
Which just means to me you don't have the truth. Because people are spinning
the
it
truth
to be
is
a certain way. And the truth is always somewhere right there in the middle.
And I guess the best thing you can do is read, if you're very interested in things, and read a couple different newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
And now with the advent of every newspaper being online, you have access to so much information every day. I've got an app in my phone where I've got about 30 newspapers that I can pull up. And I enjoy doing that, spending half an hour a day seeing things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
But I'm a news and politics junkie. So
Well, I think that's how everybody should look at the news. I think taking one source is always going to be one-sided. And in this case right now, what's interesting is we have both sides in New York, something going on with women. And there was even that Mitch McConnell. He made a comment recently about a female surgeon. He used the word female. It was really random.
Mitch McConnell is running for re-election, and he is the Senate minority leader.
Uh-huh.
And what's happened in politics now is because of the Tea Party, all these Republican candidates have to run farther to the right.
Oh, yeah.
They have to really appease. And in primaries, a very small percentage of Republicans, or Democrats for that matter, vote. And so a small minority of the Republican Party is really dictating a lot of policy decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And in past years, they've nominated 3 candidates. Sharon Engel in Nevada was the worst,
Mm-hmm.
but 2 candidates who joked about rape, and which
Yikes.
last cycle. And so as a result, the Democrats have held on to the U.S. Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And so now what the Republican Party is trying to do is preempt these Tea Party people, and by and large, they've achieved that goal. So they're nominating more mainstream Republicans. The challenge is, from their standpoint, when you move farther right, virtually every Republican senator will not vote or has not voted on equal wages for women.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, is an indefensible position.
Well, this Monica Webby is a pediatric neurosurgeon out of Oregon and a Senate candidate. She's a Republican. And it was almost like he was surprised she was a female. He was like announcing it. It was just a weird way of saying it. Like, here's our female, which anyway, so out of New York, to sum it up, it's kind of a weird state. We can take a look at it and wonder how far we've come as far as women's equal rights, and
Equal
especially in
pay.
the workforce.
Now, let me ask you a tricky question.
Okay.
How should, in religion, typically men have the upper hand? How do you rationalize that?
In religion?
Yeah, in other words, in many religions, women can't be priests or
Oh, okay. Here we
bishops
go.
or that sort of thing. How do you rationalize that one? Let me put you on the stump on this one.
I don't know that I have a pay grade high enough to answer that question, Trip
Boy,
Mitchell.
did you just see that dodge? She just got the heck out of the way.
I learned from the best.
Well, if you've got a tough question, but that's a challenge. And if all our institutions don't venerate women
Yeah.
and allow them to be equal, how can you argue that pay should
But
be equal?
that's like an age old. I mean, that's just like tradition and age old. And I think every religion on its own, right? I don't know what every religion believes, but I think they'll say there are different roles for men and women, and the role for men is this, and we give that, and women is this, and then some women will say that's not equal.
How do you feel about women in combat?
How do I feel about it?
Yeah, because most of our services just recently, up until just a few years ago, women could not be actually in combat.
Really?
They had to be in support roles. And
Okay.
so women have been in combat in terms of being pilots, that sort of thing, for medevac helicopters, and more recently they've actually become, strike pilots or bombing pilots. But now all of a sudden the Marines and the military is moving to have women actively in combat.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our allies around the world have had women in combat Israel, a lot of places have done it. So we're kind of catching up in that way. How do you feel about it?
Maybe this is like a horrible reverse discrimination, because I almost think like, ooh, I don't want to see our ladies out there on the front lines. But we were just at the gun show recently, and we were talking to Mitch there, and he was saying that women are some of the best shooters, some of the best, at when they really get trained, usually better than guys. So not to say they couldn't do it, as far as should be on the front lines. I don't know. Because they
How would
have
you look
babies at home and that sort of thing. I don't
Boy,
know.
did you just, about 6 minutes ago, you were suffragette city. You were
I
pushing for
know.
equal rights for women.
See?
And now all of a sudden you're concerned about how you'd look in a helmet.
No, that's not it at all.
I would appreciate if you were a little bit more
Because
consistent.
let's be
on your
honest, I would
arguments.
look cute.
Okay. Hold on. Let's see. Russia, we've got to halt this battle for a few minutes while I look cute and
I'm
get my
just
makeup
kidding.
done.
I'm just kidding. I'd have a lot of black on or something and a lot of camouflage, hopefully, and put me somewhere hidden really well.
One of the things that when you look at women being equal is the police.
Mm.
And up until 30 years ago, you didn't find many female police officers. And interesting, having dated a female cop here in Salt Lake, I'm glad I had to add female there. I'm not Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
Just so I don't get some garbage from the crew. But that being said, women cops in many cases are much more effective because they don't have the machismo, and so many
Yeah.
things can be talked. If you don't come in with your chest out and you come in and
Check your ego.
check your ego and check that macho stuff that a lot of people have in their 20s, and females can diffuse the situation and make sure it doesn't get violent.
So would you put ladies on the front line?
I would. I
Really?
think that if you're going to be an equal society, that's really what you need to do.
Okay.
So
Wow.
now that we've solved the world's
I
problems,
think we
and that
have. I feel really solid about that.
you've been on every side of the women's issue. When we come back, we're going to talk a little paranormal activity. You're
Ooh,
watching
I'm so
Talk Utah
excited.
right here on Comcast.
Welcome back, everybody. We are joined by the lovely Carrie Pitlick. Carrie, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Now, Carrie, before we get to your paranormal shows, before we get to some really ghosty stuff, what kind of shampoo do you use?
Okay, now I have to say I do use the Suave. I'm so
Do
low
you?
maintenance, it's not even
But look
funny.
Your hair is beautiful.
and
Okay,
shiny your hair
earlier in the
is.
show,
I have
for
to
those of you who
admit.
think we've gone off the rail, I just
Which we
said that
have.
the best shampoo is Suave at 89 cents or 87 cents.
Yeah, and you can get it in different
Flavors and
scents
colors.
Yeah.
And Holly probably has $7,000 again. The Defense Department buys Holly's shampoo. It's so expensive. They get a toilet seat and a thing of shampoo for $700.
Probably true. I'm not even going to argue. It's not worth it. Okay, Carrie, tell us about your company, because you are, I always want to say ghost hunter, but that's not PC. The ghosts don't really like that.
No.
It's paranormal investigator.
Yes, we are paranormal investigators.
Wait. The ghosts don't like it?
I don't think they like it.
I've never seen a ghost picket someone using the word
Well,
ghost
you
hunter.
haven't been on a paranormal investigation with Carrie.
Okay, good point. Good
See,
point.
I'll debunk the whole ghost thing as well. No, we are Paranormal Pulse. We are paranormal investigating team. We are not ghost hunters.
What would you say is the difference?
We go out and we are actually trying to take a scientific approach to what we're doing, and that we delve into a history a lot, to get in depth with our clients, and that hauntings and ghosts has become so Hollywood that people automatically assume the negative or the bad things when you say ghosts or that.
Yeah.
And are there ghosts? People will say that. We say spirits or entities or people just like us that have passed on. So
How did you become interested in this, and are you a believer, first of all? One would assume you are.
Well, I take a skeptic approach. I believe that there is some form of consciousness out there. I've run into things I can't explain. Still going to try to explain it. I grew up terrified as a child, absolutely terrified, saw things, knew things, would freak people out by telling them things and picking pictures out. And
So you're psychic, a bit psychic.
no, I don't like using psychic, a little more on the sensitive side.
So what was a memory that you have as a kid of coming up with something that just freaked everyone out because you shouldn't know it?
Oh, I have a great example. I was probably about 11 years old. I grew up in Ohio, and we were down in Cincinnati, and we were staying in an old mansion that was built in 18-something, was part of the old Underground Railroad. And the lady, to me, she must have been 80-something, probably younger than what she looked. But she stuck me in a bedroom, because we stayed there overnight. She stuck me in a bedroom that had horsehair bed, and the wall was caked in probably 300 China dolls, just all
Oh, I'm
staring
already
at
getting weird. Ew.
Did not like that, so I went across over to my older brother's room and crawled in bed with him. I got up the next morning and went downstairs, and I asked the lady, I said, well, why didn't you tell me about the secret stairways? And she's like, what? And she said, it's like you have 3 secret stairways. I said, are we allowed to see them? And she looks at my parents and she goes, how does she know this? And my parents are just smiling, and she looks back at me and she goes, well, where are they? And I specifically told her where they were, took her up and
But
showed
how did
them.
you know?
I
Because you don't think
just-
you're psychic?
No, it was something, I had a dream and all that. And she did ask me how I knew, and I said, well, this gentleman told me all about it. And she says, what
Ooh,
gentleman?
chills.
Can you? Okay, I need to borrow you for a second. The Belmont Stakes is coming up in 3 weeks. Is California Chrome? Can I use your powers for monetization of me?
It doesn't quite work that way.
So you can't control this. You just have it.
It's something I don't usually go around telling people. It's something I grew up with. I did point out the picture of her deceased husband out of a photo book, which it's the last time we were ever over there, last time she talked to us. Really scared her.
Yeah, because the idea of an 11-year-old kid having paranormal, having the ability to divine things is a little scary.
It's more of, I don't like to say psychic. I don't like to say all this modern stuff. It's more of being like sensitive to people's emotions, empath. I can actually pick up on people who are in pain, and it's really hard. I've just recently come out with being open about it. My team members knew about it, but I would never base any evidence or anything off of my personal experiences. That's not what we do.
How do you
So-
determine if there's an energy field present?
We have all types of equipment that we use, and again, most of this equipment was not made for the paranormal field. It was usually made for electricians' tools or things that people have kind of made in the time trying to figure out paranormal energies and stuff. A lot of times, the more you do it, like for me, you can tell you start getting static or very lightheaded, or for me, I start getting a lot of emotions. And sometimes I'll just start crying or taking on emotions that are not mine. So what we do with that, we don't use that as evidence, but that kind of gives us a key of where maybe to set up some equipment, cameras, audio, K2s and other things to see if we do capture things in that
Do you,
area.
when you capture something, do you see an image? What do you see?
The best that we get of all evidence is audio. Photos are so hard because of shutter speed. It doesn't tell a whole story. So if I take a picture of you, that brief millisecond that the camera goes, it doesn't say what's happening before, it doesn't say what's happening after.
Do spirits have the ability to talk to you?
We do have quite a few voices of people talking to us. Our names have been called, and
What kind of shampoo do they use? Can you find that out in your next one, please?
I will definitely
Okay.
ask.
She goes out and she films. So you have a show, and you have been working in Wyoming, correct? And there is, tell me like your #1 story out there in the field. I want to hear about this hotel.
There is a hotel in Wyoming. It was built in 1912. It's been abandoned. 1917, 30 some odd rooms were built onto the back. It is adjoined to an old bar that had a brothel on the 2nd floor.
How did you hear about this place?
I just go searching and contacting people and calling, and
Oh, wow.
you know, for every door closed in your face, there's another one that opens.
So what's like the #1 story?
Well, okay,
that happened?
I'm intrigued. A hotel with a brothel. Okay, go ahead.
Well, the girls would come over from the brothel, especially in the back of the hotel. We get shadow figures, lights. There's no power, no water, nothing in the hotel. The ceilings are falling in, the walls, floors have holes in it.
So in real estate terms, that would be a fixer-upper?
It would probably take, it would probably have to gut the whole place to even try to rebuild it. It is a historical site now, so we're working with the city to help them, you know, kind of get
Put it back
more
together.
funds and grants for it.
Interesting.
Smells, voices, laughing. We've actually had investigators pushed and scratched.
So if
have
I went out on
a
a,
couple of nice little
wow,
scratch
if I went out
scars.
on a shoot with you, would I come away a believer?
That would be up to you. Our goal is to present what we find, evidence-wise and all that. I cannot sit here and tell you, you have to believe this. So it's up to that person.
To believe when you're, or not to believe when you're there? I mean, the evidence.
I've had people there that have been total skeptics come out and are still dumbfounded as to what's going on because just about everything happens there. I'd be more than willing to take you guys
Scary.
there.
Well, if you could do it during my hours.
Now, I have a little scoop on you because I have a little bird that said that you will go into the darkest corners in the scariest, oldest, and you're just fine.
Yeah.
But put you in a haunted house with a chainsaw.
Oh, God.
Cut to footage, Bill. Bring it to us. So tell me about what happens.
With chainsaws or with...
Haunted houses, because I am
Oh.
terrified of crazy movies, all this stuff. Like, you
I
bring
laugh
me
at
and I'm going
them.
to be a mess.
I laugh at them. My husband says, can you not watch a show and not rip it apart? And I'm like, no, that's the fun of it now. Yes, Farrell found out that I am terrified of chainsaws. I love to use them.
Oh.
They're powerful and I like the power. But you put it in someone's hand and have them chase me, not a good thing.
Carrie, this is not, I mean, this is pretty normal behavior. Most people, if someone's chasing them with a chainsaw, will have some problems with that. Tell people how we can watch your show, how to get a hold of you if they want to talk to you more.
You can get a hold of us through Paranormal Pulse. We have a website, www.paranormalpulse.com. You can get a hold of us at contactparanormalpulse.com. I'm the main person you're going to contact. And again, I'm Carrie. Bill Francis and Farrell Lafferty and that are working with us on a TV show called Glimpse. So we're really trying to do some filming for that. And it's just going to be truthful and honest. And
Well,
It is as
go
it
out
is.
on a little hunt.
hey, we'd be more than happy to take you
if you've got a
anytime.
daytime hunt with a temperature between 70 and 74, fully catered, that's what we want to do.
That's the thing, that paranormal events happen during the day just as much as at night.
Well, gosh, then no
Then,
reason not
yeah,
to.
There we go.
You know,
I just think it'd be more fun to see you
In the-
in the dark.
well, in the men's bathroom, there's some paranormal activity, but we won't get into that. Carrie, thanks so much for being on.
Thank you
We
so
appreciate
much.
it so much.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more Talk Utah after this short break.
Welcome back, everybody. Trip, we were talking about Team THF a little bit earlier and how Aaliyah and I are doing the program. We're trying to get in shape. Summer is like, it's here, warm weather, we got to start looking good. You were harassing us about eating, but
You guys-
all joking aside,
Literally are grazing all day.
not really, not literally. It's like 6 small meals. Well, really,
And I've heard from numerous people who are experts in the industry, that is much better
it's the
for
way
you.
to do it. And it's more food than I've eaten in 5 years, and we're losing weight. But
That's
let's-
counterintuitive.
You don't think that's how it works, but it really does. And anyway, so we have a little Improving You. I got to go out there, and you should take a look and see if by the end of it, maybe we'll get Trip Mitchell joining us for 6 meals a day. Hey everyone, today I am here at Team THF with my favorite fitness guy, Rick Plenner. Rick, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great, and I'm so excited to be here because you are my favorite go-to guy for all the latest and greatest in anything fitness.
Thanks.
And you know what? You've had a lot of changes since the last time
Yeah,
we
that's
talked.
right.
12 years ago, this guy started Total Health and Fitness, and now you have created this new company, Team THF. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, after 12 years of being in business, we realized the last thing dieters need is another gym membership or personal training package. So a team of us decided to go a different direction, completely focusing on on changing lifestyles, creating fitness programs, customized, helping educate dieters on how to create fast and efficient metabolisms.
Oh, it's those customized diet and exercise programs that was my favorite part. It's the best part of what you guys do. And then you mentioned metabolism, because your goal has always been to help people maintain and obtain, basically, a healthy metabolism, which you think would be like a no-brainer goal for every diet program out there, but that's not necessarily the case, right?
The biggest problem in the diet industry is that most diets out there do not create a healthy metabolism, they actually destroy it.
Yikes.
Over half the stuff dieters do right now to try to lose weight actually damage their metabolism, causing them over time to gain weight. And the research has shown that over 95% of dieters that lose weight gain it back plus more inside of 1 year.
Okay, now I know what's wrong with my whole life story and why I've been on so many diets until I met you. How exactly do you jumpstart a metabolism?
Well, that's a good question. The secret is found in the power of proper food combinations. Thermogenic food combination actually helps stimulate and create a fast metabolism. So it's one of our main focuses when we're working with clients to not only get their metabolism back up, but educate them on how to maintain that metabolism for life.
Oh, I need all of those food combinations, please. And before we go any further though, we're gonna talk to the beautiful Julie Smith about her experience here at Team THF.
Hi, my name is Julie, and I first heard about Team THF through a relative, and once I saw her amazing results, I knew that I needed to call and schedule an appointment for myself. I came in and met with a consultant, and he was able to explain the program and exactly what would entail for obtaining my goals. Each week I came back and I was able to see what progress I had made. We started with my meal plan and my exercise plan. It was food that I was able to go and buy from the grocery store and exercises that he showed me that I could do from home or at a local gym. I'm a busy mom with a hectic schedule, and it was relatively easy to be able to take care of myself and also meet the needs of my family. This experience has been great. I feel healthier, I feel stronger, and I'm so excited to continue this journey.
Wow, her results were really amazing. What's the best way for people to get started?
Just call and mention they heard us on Talk Utah and they'll get their first appointment for free.
Great. Okay, so will you come on Talk Utah and give Tripp a little bit of advice? He probably needs some.
That's right, you know I will.
Okay, good. We'll look forward to that. And in the meantime, come in and see for yourself how Team THF can improve you. Welcome back, everybody. We are going to watch a Zion's Direct profile on a book right here in Salt Lake.
On a book?
Let me try that again.
Would it be a bookstore?
A bookstore.
Ah.
There you go. Tell us about Sam Weller Books.
Sam Weller Books is just a wonderful, wonderful bookstore, and they feature so many different kind of out of print stuff. They've got a classic collection. It is just a cool spot. And
I love how you're always introducing me to a new book. I don't even have to think about what I need to read next because you're already on it. You're
I'm
like
reading
my book
right
guy.
now a couple different books, but one in particular is on the Food Network.
I know. I'm
And
excited to borrow that.
I used to work with one of the founders, Robin Leach,
Mm-hmm.
who from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and it was really interesting to read about how the network started, and now it seems like such a no-brainer. You know, so many people
Yeah.
watch the Food Network, and I love some of their shows.
But
And
think about in starting out like a 24-hour food.
they didn't even have
Show.
in their first studio ovens or anything. So
Yeah.
what happens is you'd have a counter that looked like a kitchen and actually be a fake kitchen. So you'd put something underneath the counter, pretend it was the oven, and then a
out.
production assistant 2 doors down would bring the actual casserole back in, and it's fun. But getting back to Sam Weller
Weller.
Books, yes, I'll tie this thing up.
Oh,
It
you
is-
always do. It's a beautiful thing to watch that happen.
yeah, we just did the big circle route. But Sam Weller Books located I've been to the one in Trolley Square, and it's just a great spot. And there's nothing, I love Amazon, but I love going to the library or a bookstore, that visceral feel of having a book in your hands. And
Getting to just hang out.
great spot just to hang out.
It is. Look
And-
at books. Look at people. People watch is fun at bookstores too.
And what's your favorite thing to do in a bookstore? Color, or do you like to read?
I think we should watch the Zion's Direct thing.
Okay.
Back in 1929, reading was TV. There was radio and movies, which were starting to catch on, but at that time, books were the main form of entertainment. Just open one, and it could transport you anywhere, to any time in history, and every book was a new channel. That's when Sam Weller's opened their doors. Some 84 years later, Sam Weller's bookstore has been renamed Weller Bookworks and relocated to Trolley Square in Salt Lake City. While it was hard to leave the downtown site, they loved the new location. Owners Tony and Catherine Weller say the move was a great chance to reinvent themselves and take a fresh approach to their business. As you can imagine, the digital age has meant big changes to traditional booksellers, even a well-established operation like Weller Bookworks. Tony says they both feel a vigor in the new Weller Bookworks they haven't felt for years. They did extensive research when deciding how to change their book selection to better meet demand. They now stock e-readers and digital books too. One of the interesting trends Tony and Catherine discovered is how people are now seeking special editions of books. They'll get the regular version on their e-reader, and if they love it enough, they'll come into Weller Bookworks seeking not just the book, but the book in special packaging. And publishers are getting creative with the design of some books they offer these days. One of their aims at Weller Bookworks is to help readers become collectors, because nothing is more culturally significant than a book. Without books, we would know little about our past, and it's a way to get acquainted with great writers. Another important part of Weller Bookworks is the rare books collection. Tony has been actively involved with growing the Weller collection for years. These treasures include everything from rare LDS books to rare Americana. The rare book section is on the second floor of Weller Bookworks. A great example of what's right with Utah. For Zions Bank, I'm Chris Redgrave, speaking on business.
And welcome back. I'm so happy to be working, or we are so happy, I should say, with Zions Direct. They do a great job on these business profiles, letting us know about some businesses, big and small, that really make Utah so unique. We'll be back after this short break.
Welcome back, everyone. Trip, you were going to tell us a little bit about free stuff to do in Utah, which you're the one that wasn't born and raised in Utah, and you know more than I do.
Well, there are so many wonderful things that you can do in and around Salt Lake for free. And one of the ones I mentioned earlier in the show is take a drive with your family. You can go up, either way, you can go up 80 into Park City. And Park City has some amazing stuff. The place that I love to take visitors to is the Utah Olympic Park, which right when you get off at Kimball Junction, you just go like you're going to Park City. About a quarter mile down the road, you make a right. And if you haven't been to the Olympic Park, it is just spectacular.
It's really cool. Those ski jumpers.
Ski jumper. I was up for the Olympic trials this year. Just marvelous.
Amazing.
And then they have the track where the toboggan was during the Olympics and luge. But during the summer, what happens is a lot of the athletes train here, and they, instead of when they do their flips, they go into a pool.
Yeah, that's a really cool show.
It is one of the coolest things I've ever been to.
I don't think people know it's kind of, most athletes come here because of the altitude. If you can train here and do well here, pretty much you're guaranteed it's going to be lower wherever you're going to compete.
This year's Winter Olympic team had so many athletes who either have moved here or were born here, who train here on the team. I mean, just astounding. And Utah is really the Olympic capital for winter sports. There's no question about it. One of the other cool things to do, and you're a former Park City resident, but people, I think as a Park City person, you don't appreciate how great historic Main Street is.
I do love historic Maine.
It is,
awesome.
It is just so much fun, and you can park and walk the length of the street, and there are wonderful boutiques, shops, restaurants.
Museums, art museums, they have like farmers markets, and it's a lot of fun.
And then on your way back, instead of coming back on I-80, drive up to the end of Main Street and look for the sign, and you can go up over Guardsman's Pass, which used to be a pretty treacherous drive, and you want to at least have very good tires or four-wheel drive. Now the road's been improved so much you can take any passenger car over, and you go up, you wind around this new road that goes to this amazing resort in Deer Valley that's just very, very recent. Then you go up over the hill, and the topography is so different. Park City is not as elevated, it's not as rocky, it's much more...
There's not a lot of trees.
Not a lot of trees.
Because of the silver mining.
When you go up over the top into Big Cottonwood Canyon, it is just marvelous. It is such a beautiful view, and you drive by Brighton and down through Solitude, and it's a great trip. Tons of hiking hiking trails for the family, and one of my favorite is in Brighton. You go and you take the Brighton Loop and then stop at the first parking lot, and they've got an improved trail all the way around this lake. It is gorgeous. It's about a 3/4 mile hike. And it is beautiful. The family will love it. 20 degrees cooler. Now, I do have to warn you, you're not allowed to bring dogs into Big Cottonwood Canyon.
Really?
Because it's a watershed, either Big or Little Cottonwood Canyon. You can't bring So I can't take CNN on this trip, though CNN is very welcome in Park City. So it's a beautiful, beautiful trip. It's free.
I think
take
the
advantage of it.
driving in Utah is just alone. If you're looking for something free to do, you can take a drive and pretty much find. I grew up in Sanpete County, in Manti specifically, and there's a little town called Fairview, and we used to go camping every year up Fairview Canyon off of Skyline Drive, which is pretty famous. The most beautiful canyon ever. Skyline Drive is just incredible. So if you're wanting to take a trip a little bit away, it's about an hour and a half away. It's like stunningly beautiful canyon.
We have so much beauty here in Utah. If you don't take advantage of it, you're missing
crazy.
out on a huge, huge part.
Yeah.
And also at Little Cottonwood Canyon at Snowbird, they have added, now this isn't free, mind you, but they have tons of attractions that kids love, including, they just put in a new toboggan run. They've got a really cool thing for the kids where you strap into on trampolines and you have a belt that goes around you and you can jump up and do flips. All kinds of really cool stuff. The kids love it. And by and large, everything we've talked about is free. Obviously, you're going to have to feed the kids and stuff. But that being said, great way. And, there's so many fun things to do. What's your favorite thing to do in the summer?
Honestly, I'm a runner. I haven't for the last couple years because I had a back injury. But as far as running goes, like in Park City, I did the rail trail every day, which was incredible because there's so many paved, beautiful places to run in Salt Lake and Utah. It's like they cater to you. In fact, we were just reading about one in Moab that just opened up. That's like you can bike it, you can run it, walk it. But I love the whole running thing and running up and finding, like in LA, I did running every day. It's just fun to be outside.
And one of my favorite things to do in the summer is Liberty Park on rollerblades.
Oh, yeah?
And you can get in
Trip Mitchell on rollerblades.
Well,
oh my goodness, I have to see this.
It is wonderful. Now, here's the challenge.
Okay.
My dog does not do real well in terms of walking with me when I'm on rollerblades. CNN, if he sees something, he pulls. So
Oh, I love seeing it.
typically that is not a very attractive thing to see some guy yelling at his dog on skates, being pulled around.
You have bad knees, Trip. You shouldn't be on rollerblades.
Rollerblades are fine. The running is the problem. But
Oh, okay. That's probably true.
what is interesting is that I always want to know the distance around Liberty Park, so I would drive around in my car to calibrate it. And all you do is go online and Google in that, and they've got it down to the foot.
Of course.
There's so much information there. But Liberty Park, now I live across from Sugar House
I
Park.
know. Have you figured that out?
No, I haven't done.
The exact amount?
Sugar House Park has a challenge
Okay, what
on
is it?
rollerblades, and that's called hills.
Oh, yeah, that might be hard.
Yeah, at one time going down a hill and having to stop myself in the pond there, that's enough for
That
me.
didn't go so
yeah,
well?
flat is good when it comes to Liberty Park.
Me on wheels or skis or skates? Yeah, no.
Not a pretty sight.
And I don't.
So take advantage of a lot of the free things that Utah has to offer. By all means, get out to the Great Salt Lake. If you've never been sailing, head out to the lake. It's just truly a great resource, and we are very lucky to be living in Utah. We'll have more of the show.
Welcome back, everybody. Today has been an incredible show.
Well, incredible might be giving it a little too much because
I
we
thought it was pretty
did
incredible.
talk shampoo a little long, and that was my fault.
Well, that was you. You can't get over it. But we had Carrie Pitlick on from Paranormal Pulse. That
And
was
I don't know
really
what to,
cool.
If I guess this is one thing that we should do is definitely go out on the
we
road
need
when
to
they
do
do
this.
a paranormal investigation. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I think it would too. I want to just see you. What happens to you if you become a believer?
I'm typically somewhat of a skeptic on most things like that.
Really? You're a skeptic?
Well, if I see something, it is much easier to believe it.
Yeah.
And and if I feel a paranormal pulse on, if someone touches me, maybe I'll come around on that a little bit. But I'm happy to be skeptical. But what's so cool is that the people who believe in this and the people love it so much. I mean, are really passionate about it. And I think I love people who are passionate about whatever
they're
and,
doing.
If it's
Yeah.
UFOs, if it's paranormal, whatever, people who love it. And
It is a fun thing.
there used to be a guy by the name Art Bell
Okay.
who did a overnight show, and he did it out of the desert called Pahrump, Nevada.
Okay.
And it was one of the most popular shows going, and it was an overnight show, and it would go out on AM stations all over the country, and he had millions of listeners, and anything of that realm he would talk about.
UFOs,
Yeah, anything.
Bigfoot.
Oh, Bigfoot's a big one.
Oh, I know.
No pun intended.
No pun taken. It's a big
Well,
deal.
thank you very much. But that being said, people who love that stuff are really passionate, and it was great meeting Carrie.
Yeah.
And great, we got to learn about a wonderful bookstore down in Trolley Square.
See, our show was incredible.
Okay, well, Holly's a lot more optimistic. I'll say I had a great time doing it, however.
I had a great time too. Thanks, Trip.
For Holly Love, I'm Trip Mitchell. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.